Hello and welcome. That was a fast transition. My name is Tom, and this is another Wednesday live stream. As is tradition, let's check the audio and make sure there is some. So that's a good thing, usually. Let's see. Oh, hey, there's audio, and it works. Great. And I think things are in sync because I checked them beforehand. We're switching things up today in terms of my setup, so I'll talk about that in a second. But first, it's super nice to see everyone here. What's up, Mr. Robbie? It's been fun to see you here and in the Discord. Pretty much everyone here is also in the Discord, which is cool because we can hang out when it's not just stream time. K9 Striker, what is up? And Gil, of course. Your presence is present enough, Gil. What's up? Oh, Gil again. What's up, everybody? Mark in Vancouver. Parker, what's up, Parker? Matt from Nashville. Matt, you're the one that said you need to stream more. And I was like, you know what, Matt? You're right. So instead of overthinking it, why not just go for it? And that's what I'm doing. And Mr. Robbie's in Switzerland, which every time you say that, I mention that I'm jealous of that because Switzerland is amazing. So today we're just going to hang out, kind of a chill chat. We can talk about pretty much whatever everybody wants to talk about. My technical goal, because we talked about this last week, where like people are like, what's your streaming setup? And I was like, I don't know, because it changes every single time. This is probably my most consistent setup because I'm at my desk where things don't move as much. This is the Canon EOS R, which is funny because it's a 1080 camera, but I think the stream is still outputting 4K, so OBS is upscaling it. This is connected to my PC, so I'm running this through OBS on Windows. My MacBook is in the shop until like the weekend, so I don't have Ecamm, which is my normal streaming software, and I've streamed with OBS before on here, but I wanted to take this chance since I'm forced. I don't have another option right now. I wanted to like really try and level up the OBS thing, so that's where like Bulls Promo TV can say finally caught you and actually have chats that look nice, kind of like Ecamm. This is Aaron Parecki's live chat overlay, which is a fantastic free Chrome extension that makes it super easy to add like good looking. I can talk about that whole thing because that feature alone, being able to highlight individual chats, it's like worth the Ecamm subscription by itself, I think. So anyway, that's what I'm doing today. The thing that mainly changes in this setup is the microphone. So I'm using the Rode NT1 running through the Rodecaster Duo. That pretty much never changes, but the mic I'm using here changes almost every single time. So I don't have consistent streaming setups, but the EOS R with the prompter and like this basic desk setup shot is probably the most consistent thing in my whole office. What's up, David from Keller, Texas? Hope you're doing well. You can tell your PC not Mac. So that is nothing to do with the PC. That's the camera. I'm using my EOS R, which is a Canon camera, totally different color science than the Sony cameras I normally use. And it's also a 1080 camera versus the 4K cameras that I normally use. So that's using OBS. OBS has nothing to do with that because it's the same thing. The input, it's the same. It's the camera's totally different. Keith said, hey Keith, what's up? Glad to see you and Aaron together 2 weeks ago. I need to have Aaron on one of my streams because he is great. And I totally forgot. I know he had a solution for chat comments when not using Ecamm, but I forgot it was like one he developed, and it is the best of the options for OBS for non-Ecamm highlighting chat. And it's totally free because Aaron is awesome and generous and wonderful. So today, feel free if you want to drop questions, drop chats. We can talk about whatever. I always title it like cameras, mics, AV, but that's just like chat about stuff the channel is about. So, also got a new 3D printer. We can talk about that. Oh, dang, this is my first time using Aaron's thing. If you do put a Q:, it does highlight it in the chat for me, but you don't have to do that. It's just, that's kind of cool. And I see the first Q: popping up here from Pigtown Sports. How do you like podcasting with a condenser versus dynamic? I love both. So I think me personally, and maybe with my voice, if you did a blind test and asked me which I preferred more and let me listen to some condenser mics, let me listen to some dynamic mics, I would probably prefer condenser mics. Just kind of they have a little bit of a brighter sound. A lot of that obviously can vary based on EQ and stuff. And I like condensers I like recommending condensers to people because they work with basically any interface. Anything that has phantom power, you can use a condenser mic with. So it's like you don't have to worry about, well, what when someone's new to the world of mics and they like buy an interface, and then you have to ask them how much gain your interface has. They might not know, and then you have to tell them about boosters. And dynamic mics can sometimes be a little bit of a struggle. So condenser mics are a little bit easier. But for me, I just switched to whatever. I haven't used the NT1 in a while. I was going to use, which maybe I'd switch to in a second, this one. This is the Warm Audio. What the heck is that thing called? U87 Junior, or it's like Warm Audio's budget friendly version of a Neumann mic, and I actually really, really like it. But this one's blue, so there we go. And actually the NT1 is one of my all-time favorite mics, so I love it. Parul Vic Rampar Mar 9892 with a Canon 700D. Can I do live Zoom meetings with use of the Camlink 4K? So yes, you can definitely run HDMI out from the 700D into the Camlink. That's no problem. Does it support for 2 to 3 hours? That I don't remember. I do remember some of the older Canon models. I don't know where the 700D fits in this. They didn't have like unlimited. You could set it to like turn off after 30 minutes or 60 minutes, but they didn't have unlimited like runtime. That was something that kind of was added in later. So that would be the limiting factor. And then obviously power. Like I used to run my EOS R, this camera, when this was my main camera. I used to run this off battery power when I was like teaching online during the pandemic for, 3 to 4 hours at a time per battery, and then I'd switch it. So sometimes I get through a whole workday with one battery or maybe one battery switch. So the battery, when the camera's just sitting there streaming, it's not recording, it's not using nearly as much power as when it's writing things to the SD card. So it just kind of depends. But yes, you can definitely run a signal from the 700D to the Camlink. I think the 700D has a mini HDMI, just like this camera does. So you would need a mini HDMI to a full-size HDMI cable or an adapter. Oh yeah, Mr. Rob, you got your Windows laptop, which is super cool. Want to get an external RGB clicky cherry keyboard. My last laptop had RGB, but this one does not. Oh yeah. I mean, it's funny. Heather got a PC laptop for Black Friday, and obviously we just intended to like, it's just for gaming, so it's not like a work computer or anything. But we planned on like, you'll just use your external keyboard. But she kind of just been using the built-in keyboard, which like it's not like a clicky mechanical keyboard or anything, but it's actually pretty decent. And yeah, so I don't know. I have the Keychron here, which I actually really love this one. Okay, I love using it. There's a few quality of life features that it's missing. And then I love my Royal Kludge. That's a cool one. I guess those are the two mechanical keyboards I have, and they're great. You don't have another option? You have a Ultra Extreme. How many? So yeah, I was going to do the Extreme. I've been using the Extreme more than the Ultra because it's 4K. And I was going to do that last week, but I've been having issues logging into my YouTube account, and I can fix it, but I have to sit down there and like deal with passwords and permission screens for like 30 minutes, and I don't want to. So I haven't done it. Recommend me one under a couple $100. I think I'll go grab one actually real quick. Actually, you want to see the true mess of this situation right here? Let me turn on my little here's my Obsbot Tiny 3 webcam. Yeah. This is in the middle of some other things, so it's chaos over here. But let me go over here. Never mind, that keyboard's not there. What? It must be in Heather's office because we were playing games over there. I was going to grab the Royal Kludge keyboard. How do I turn this off? Boop, there we go. I have the Royal Kludge S98, and so does Heather, actually. And it's like $100. Actually, I think now it's on sale for like $80. Maybe I can even bring it up in a browser window. Let me see. Royal Kludge S98. Let me bring up, I think I have this. There we go. Yeah, so this, actually it's funny. This top one is the one that I have, this color scheme. And then oh, can you not see my cursor? Oh, that's weird. Oh, there it is. And this purple one is the one Heather has. They just have slightly different switches, but they're both awesome. $80? Come on. And what I really like about this is I mean, it feels great. It works great. We've had ours for a year and a half at this point. They work awesome. The little screen in the corner is actually like super useful because it tells you the battery level. You can control the volume on your computer real easily. You can connect to 3 Bluetooth connections, and then you also have a USB dongle, so you can switch between things super easily there. And then it also has, so the keyboard I'm using now, this one is made out of metal. This thing is so heavy duty, and it feels so good, and it has the left-hand 10 key, which I really like. This is the Keychron. It's like HE12. There's a 12 in there somewhere. I always forget the model number of it, and it's actually not written anywhere on it, so I don't know. It's not on here. But the things that this is missing is you can use like some commands to pair, but this does not show you battery level without having to go into a weird like thing, and then it kind of lights up some keys to show you the battery percentage. The kludge just puts the battery percentage on the little screen, and then this one also, it has like, you probably can't even see it. I have a video kind of coming out about this next week, but it has the caps lock and the num lock like lights to show you when they're enabled are barely visible under there, and when the keyboard's flat and you're actually using it, you can't see. So the number of times I start typing and everything's all in caps is like, it's so many. Whereas this keyboard just has the traditional, like number lock, caps lock buttons there. I really love this keyboard. It's like, to me, the best value around. The overall build quality of the Keychron is better, but the kludge is no sludge. I don't know. David, what's up? Could you talk about camera position in relation to your eye level and where your script is? Yes, this is something I would recommend experimenting with. So, a very funny phenomenon is if you've ever met or seen like movie stars and TV stars, especially like action movie stars in person, a lot of times you'll notice they are smaller than you would expect, shorter, and just like, really, that's like the giant imposing presence on screen is like that little person over there. And that's because in a lot of movies, especially if it's like an action thing, the camera's often low, so people look bigger because the camera's down lower. And literally sometimes they will build sets and things at like smaller scale so that people look bigger in relation to them. So many times when I meet people from the world of YouTube and like online content creation in person, they are so much taller than they seem in person. And I think that's because a lot of times it's just normal people in normal scale environments setting up cameras, oftentimes right at eye level. So you don't really, like, you wouldn't really guess Curtis Judd, if you watch his audio channel, is like 8 foot tall. I think Curtis is 6'7", something like that. He's really tall, 6'5", 6'6". He's however tall you think he is, add like a foot and he's probably that tall. But you don't really get that vibe watching his videos because he positions his camera right at eye level. He looks like a normal person. There's another channel I watch called Bass Buzz, which is like, online bass lessons and stuff. And Josh, who runs that channel, super nice guy, same thing. He sits at a shot like this, just looks like a normal guy. He is almost 7 feet tall, and I had no idea till I started realizing like the basses do look really small on him in comparison to me. There you go. So anyway, that is to say, camera at eye level kind of keeps things neutral. Camera low makes you look larger and more imposing, and camera up high makes you look smaller and more diminutive. A lot of times for online talking head stuff like this, like right now the camera is basically right at eye level. I think it's actually slightly below eye level for me. And this is what that looks like. A lot of times people will keep it there because it's very neutral. Sometimes people will actually bump it up a little bit because it was kind of counterintuitive. Why would you want to make yourself look smaller and less like authoritative? But it also can make you feel more approachable and less intimidating. The number of times you have like a low camera at a desk with some dude like going on about rolling shutter and open gate or whatever, it's like it feels like you're kind of getting yelled at. It doesn't feel friendly. So typically people start out eye level, maybe even a little bit above. It depends on what you like and what looks best, and what your setup also lets you do. Sometimes the physical space you're in kind of dictates what you're able to do. The other thing, and then script. Yeah, I'm not using a script right now. I have the Elgato prompter, but it just has a monitor window of the stream. It's too small. I can't put the chat on there because it's too small. But it's the same thing. If you're using a prompter, just kind of keeping the prompter is the best thing, because then you're looking, if you're doing a script, you're looking at the camera and seeing your script. And it's, it takes practice still to use a prompter, but it is the most natural way to do it. Boop, boop. There we go. Wow, I really like this chat overlay because it keeps things so organized. It's insane. Ever tried Social Stream Ninja? Yes, I used that last time. I used it last time I streamed on OBS, and I've been tinkering with it on my own, and it's good. What I like about Social Stream Ninja and Aaron's extension is that you don't have to connect your YouTube account. You basically just, I could pull in the chat from any stream to this. You just give it a URL. Or in Aaron's case, you actually literally just go to any stream and pop out the chat window, and then that's the one it's going to bring in. Social Stream Ninja, you can go to a channel, and then if they have like multiple streams, you can select which ones you want and bring those in. Both are free, and that's awesome. Social Stream Ninja has more options for customization, more options for like adding in other notifications, almost like Stream Elements does. But man, that one I feel like I have to do, just me personally, I guess, maybe because I'm so used to Ecamm, but I feel like I have to do like rain dance, voodoo, witchcraft to like get it to work every time, and then I get it dialed in and it's working, and then the next time I need to use it, I have to like relearn it over. And I don't have to do that with Aaron's. So I like this one, but that is also a really good one. What's up, Rukin? How are you today? Pigtown ditched Windows. Always felt like the quality wasn't as close to Mac with Ecamm. I mean, OBS, to me, I've done side-by-side stuff. I've recorded entire YouTube videos in OBS and Ecamm, and with the YOLO Box and the Rodecaster video, nobody says anything. The Rodecaster video is especially funny because I record videos with that and nobody says anything. But as soon as I tell people I'm recording with the Rodecaster video, then everyone tells me it looks bad. And I'm like, clearly you just don't like the Rodecaster video, because when I don't say anything, everyone's like, bro, what camera are you using? It looks so good. And then when I say like, this is recorded with the Rodecaster video, people are like, yeah, I could tell. But here's the thing I will say. I don't know if you were using OBS or what to record in Windows. There are so many more variables. The Mac, like the constrained architecture with the super optimized Ecamm, it's so easy to just reliably get your signal in there. And Ecamm's so good at like kind of figuring out and matching signals and rescaling everything that needs to. So yeah, OBS, if that's what you were using, is so picky. Like, there's settings on settings on settings that affect other settings, and it's like, it's so easy to like not have the proper thing dialed in, and it's very, very tinkery. Whereas Ecamm, it's like you turn it on, you can make things look great, polished right away. In theory, oh, and then that's the other thing too, is like the computer you're using, the processor, the GPU, the capture card, all those things play into it. In theory, though, all things being equal, you should be able to get the same quality recording with OBS or Ecamm, Mac or PC. It shouldn't matter. There are just so many more variables on PC that it's easy to then, yeah. Let's see here. What do you think of the new Elgato lineup? Actually, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, Elgato makes good stuff. I think it's cool, actually, except for their Stream Deck keyboard. That's going to be next week's video, and that is probably the first like genuinely negative video I've ever made. The keyboard's fine. It's just way too expensive, and for the price, it's bad. There are other stuff, and it's weird because Elgato usually makes such good like budget-friendly stuff. Their stuff is cool. What I'm really excited about, actually, I didn't want to do the beta because I just didn't want to mess things up, but now that it's fully released, is like the Wavelink 3 or whatever it's called, their software, which I think can essentially act like loopback. So on my Mac, I have loopback, which lets you create virtual sources and mix and match things, and it's like super cool. And there isn't loopback on PC, as far as I know. But it kind of seems like the Elgato software can do that. And that's just really cool for, when you're using a single audio source, but you want you can do it with the Rodecaster. But I kind of like with the PC, sometimes I'm like streaming and recording and going into Discord and doing whatever, and everything has a slightly different mix. And then there's my headphones, and it's like, it's nice to have versatility in making that stuff. Got to check out Aaron's chat thing for my PC setup. Yes, I think it's called, if you type in Aaron Parecki chat overlay, you'll see it. And it's great. And you can, I did some basic simple customization here, but it animates the chat popping up. You highlight the chat. On my end over here, maybe I can show you. I think I need to go to browser. See, this is now me learning OBS in real time. And I think I can change this to, is it this? There we go. Hey, look at that. Okay. So this is the chat window, the pop-out chat. And what the extension does, normally when you go to a YouTube live stream and you pop out the chat like this, it just kind of looks like the YouTube chat in a different window. And now you can see this looks a little bit different. So the ones that are dark gray are ones that I've already popped up on stream. So Matt said Aaron's about to head to China. I click on that. And I don't have the chat overlay on this scene. Sorry. It would have popped that up on my other scene. Actually, I see it in my preview window down there. And now it's gray, so I've already done that one. Obviously, you can still see when people tag you, so you can see the name there. And then these ones, anyone who puts Q:, you can see that there. You can go into your set. You can go into the extension options. I'm just using the Chrome extension, and you can change the color of the chat. You can also change. It doesn't have to just be Q: that will highlight stuff. If you have a different word or a different phrase, you can do that right there. There's like basic automation you can do and stuff like that. It is very cool. Let me switch the browser window back so I don't forget to do that later. Yeah, it's really, really nice. And it was nice yesterday. I was making a mistake setting it up, and I was like, oh, I can't figure this thing out. And I was like, wait a minute. I can just text the developer and ask him. And he was like, oh, yeah, I was just putting in, oh, darn it. There's a little URL. Sorry, actually, I should show you this because I think it's important. Let's just go back to that. Up here at the top, see where there's this URL? This is my problem, is I clicked on it, and I only clicked on it once, and it highlighted it, so I wasn't copying it properly. This is what you need to copy and paste into a browser source in OBS, and then that's what will bring it in when you do this stuff. Hey, my printer just finished printing a thing. That's cool. I actually got a new printer, which I'm working on a video about for Saturday, so we'll see that then there. Or we could talk about it now too, because I don't want to talk about printers. So there we go. Can we do live stream reaction to all the posts in bets on Discord? Yes, we totally should, actually. I very much enjoy that idea. See, testing Q. Can't sleep. What's up? Yeah, I'm learning now that you are in a totally different time zone, so nice to see you. Do you know of anyone who will 3D print on demand? I've seen there's YOLOCAM S3 mount for the Elgato prompter. There is. I made it, and it works great. But I'm not a 3D print person myself. Yes, there are like lots of online places where you can send 3D print designs and they'll print them for you. I was actually just watching a YouTube channel yesterday, and I can't think of it's like a guy who has a physical shop that will 3D print things for people. And I wish I remember, it's like 3D print shop or something. And he has cool videos about like, running a brick and mortar business based around 3D printing. There's a lot of online services that'll do it. And that's probably the easiest way, but I've never used them. The other thing I will say is you probably know more people than you realize who have a 3D printer in your life, and they might just be able to print stuff for you. But yeah, I have that backplate for the S3 and the prompter, and it works great. So I can at least attest to the design being a good one. What's up, Thumbnail Grail? Nice to see you. Long time, first time. Nice. Mr. Robbie. Wait, what is happening here with my scroll? There we go. Okay, can you recommend... Oh, yeah, wireless or cable. I forgot to mention, I like wireless keyboards, but all the wireless ones I have, the Keychron and the Royal Kludge can also be used wired, but they will work. Your laptop, I'm guessing, has Bluetooth, so you can probably connect it wirelessly, but if it doesn't, or you want absolutely 0 micromilliseconds of latency, then at least the keyboards I have come with a little USB dongle that you can just connect, and it's no problem. It works great. Corsair has that, yes. So it's actually a very good keyboard. The downside to this is I have a video about it next week, and the video I made, they sent it. I was super curious about it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do an unboxing and first impression video. And I was fully expecting to like be really excited. And I was actually getting nervous because I like my Keychron. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to debate about like, do I replace the Keychron with the Corsair? What do I do? And because I like Elgato products, that is, it ended up being kind of a negative experience. And yeah, so the keyboard itself is actually fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's completely fine. The keyboard quality itself is on par with the Royal Kludge, maybe even slightly below it. So it's not like the highest quality keyboard, but it's very decent. And it has an integrated Stream Deck, which is very cool. And the Stream Deck can also just be a 10 key if you don't want it to be a Stream Deck. So that's awesome. But I think it's because of the Stream Deck, it's only a wired keyboard. I do not want a wired keyboard. So that right there knocked it off. I didn't realize that. I just sort of assumed it would have wireless capabilities, and it doesn't. And so the reason I don't like it is it's $350. I was like, you can buy a Stream Deck and a nicer mechanical keyboard for significantly less than that. If it were $200, I think it would be a steal. It'd be an awesome choice. $350, it's like they've lost their minds at that price. Kim, what's up? Kim, I have to say, I have just loved seeing your, I don't know, the way you approach content creation and social media and all that stuff, and the way you share it online is like so ridiculously refreshing. So thank you for doing that, and please keep doing that. Ohio, what's up? Matt says, I'm always curious about your most used ones are the MKH50 and the Lewitt Ray. Yeah, my 50 is right there, and my Ray is right in here. I use the 440 a lot, and my 240 is here. The Ray is basically the 440, but just with fancier features. We'll be using the dummy battery for the Canon 700D. Yeah, then you don't have to worry about anything, as long as the camera can go beyond the 30-minute shutoff. Is the Mic Mini still relevant? I love it. I mean, I have mine. Actually, let's show my messy camera. This right here is my Mic Mini. It's sitting there because I use it constantly in videos. So that I use that one. I'm trying to think. That's probably my most commonly used lavalier wireless mic at the moment, because they have the Sony adapter. Well, because it's small. I like the sound quality of it, and it's small. I actually like the sound quality of the Mini better than the Mic 2. And the size is really, really good, obviously. And then because you can use the Sony hot shoe adapter, it makes things really easy for just getting high quality audio at the right levels directly into the camera. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to deal with a receiver, no, I have to deal with a receiver, but I don't have to deal with cables and whatever. It just knows the level of the camera right away, and it works great. The other one I've been using a lot is the Rode Wireless Micro, which I'll use for a lot of times as a USB source, like with the YOLO box, or sometimes I will use it with the camera receiver if I just want blue, especially like I wear this shirt a lot and I just put the big bright blue Rode thing. And I don't know, I just like that. And I like the way it sounds too. I really like the Mini. Let's look at prices, because I think that's the thing. I got the Mini before the Mic 3, before the Mic 3 was dropped. So, and keep in mind, I guess I'm using Amazon right now, obviously, but these prices change all the time. So DJI Mic Mini, yeah, so no, that's the Mic 3. So the equivalent setup with the Mic 3, $260. The Mic Mini, was it really only $80? I feel like I spent more. Yeah, $80? Oh, shoot. Yeah, okay. And then I had to buy the Sony thing, which was like $35 or $40 for the Sony adapter. So that would bring this to like $130 total to get it up and running with my Sony cameras. I didn't realize it was this much of a price difference. This is actually a great price, $250 for the Mic 3, because they did finally, like, I don't know, they've done a good job improving every generation with being able to just store all the accessories in the case instead of like having all this extra stuff that you have to remember to take with you. So both of these are pretty good about that, but the Mic 3 is better. So here's the differentiating factor. Is the Mic 3 offers built-in recording. Oh, that's it. I was gonna say, because the mic 2, I have one of my mic 2 receivers right here. The benefit that the mic 2 used to have, if we can get the camera to focus, is 3.5 millimeter inputs. So if you want to connect a different lavalier mic and use this as a recorder or a transmitter, you can do that. The mic 3 doesn't have that. I think they reached the point where it's so compact that they're just like, don't plug anything into this. So that depends. You know, like if you want to plug in a lavalier mic, neither are great, because the mic mini also does not have that option. So the mic 3's biggest advantage would be that it can record internally. So if you want that 32-bit float backup recording, there have been times where I've recorded with my, luckily I have not had the mic mini fail on me, but there have been times like in January, I went up and did like a behind the scenes things with the San Jose Sharks, and I was using the mic mini for that. And we were in a signal heavy broadcast environment. And I was just like, I was using a mix of the mic 2 and the mic mini. And I was like, I'm really glad that the mic 2 can record internally, because I have a backup, and the mic mini, I'm just really hoping, and luckily everything was fine. But if you're in situations where you want that backup recording, then the mic 3 would be the way to go. And the other benefit is the mic 3 has the receiver similar to the mic 2, where it has a little touch screen. You can go and adjust all the settings. The mic mini has a receiver that basically tells you when it's on and connected. So you can't really adjust anything else through there. So if you want more physical controls and internal recording, go with the mic 3. If you just want solid wireless mic, go with the mic mini. I have the mic mini. I have had the mic 3 in my shopping cart on several occasions, and then I just delete it because the mini is like completely fine, and I just don't want to spend the $260 and $80 for the dual transmitter mini. It's just, that's a good deal. That is a very good deal. I didn't realize it was that inexpensive. So yes, very relevant. I don't need a new keyboard. Yeah, the keyboard life, I see why people have like collections of keyboards. And I just kind of lucked out because I really like the Royal Kludge, and I was using that with my MacBook and my Xbox, kind of pairing them back and forth. And then when I got the PC last summer, my plan was just to use it with that one. But I didn't want to have to move it around, because the Xbox where I play is like in Heather's office. And it's having to move it is annoying. And Keychron offered to send this one, and I was like, actually, that's perfect, because I need a new keyboard for this new computer setup. So thank you. Can you hook a prompter up to the RCV output to view the live program feed? You cannot. Okay, sorry. I immediately thought Elgato prompter. You can't use the Elgato prompter because it needs to be connected to a computer running the Elgato Camera Hub software and the Display Link doohickey. Other prompters, anything that will take an HDMI output, yes, you can run that, because the I guess the caveat there, the RCV does not care what it's sending its HDMI output to. A TV, a monitor, a prompter, whatever. It's just sending an HDMI output. So the prompter, if you have a prompter that has an HDMI input, you're good. The thing to look out for is just to make sure you can flip it in that screen. Some prompters, depending on quality, depending on features, they require software or an app or something to actually flip the screen. Like on my Elgato prompter, down here on the display, everything is backwards. It's reflecting up into the mirror, and I'm looking at it in the way that looks correct. So if this weren't mirrored on the display down here, I would be looking at it mirrored. And so you want to make sure that your prompter has the ability to do that natively on whatever display it's using. If you're using a prompter that involves like an iPad, then you'd be running the Rodecaster. It gets a little tricky. So yes, it is possible. It depends on the features of the prompter. Ropo9581, I'm planning to get a mixer. It seems like the Yamaha AG08 does everything I want, but it seems to be at the same price range as the Rodecaster Duo. Is the Duo still recommended in 2026? Yamaha AG08? Let's check that out. Because I have an old Yamaha mixer. Yamaha AG08. But I have not heard of this one. Okay, so it is the same price as the Duo. Let's hop over to B&H and see. Okay, this looks sweet. Looks very modern, podcasty. The main thing that I want to see is how much gain it has. There's a lot of other things that go into it, but to me, that's the most important, and they don't have it listed there. More details. Okay, I don't want to gain. They didn't mention it at all. Seriously? Okay. Let's see. See, look at that. I turn on caps lock. Okay. The AI overview on Google, which we know is oftentimes prone to being wrong, says it has 60 decibels of gain. That would lean me towards the Rodecaster Duo right there. That's the main thing I look at personally, is the level of gain. If you're going to be primarily using it with a condenser mic, then it doesn't really matter because you're going to be using phantom power. It'll work with everything because you probably only need around 30 decibels of gain to use a condenser mic. Every interface, every mixer can provide that. If you're going to be using a dynamic mic or you're going to be switching back and forth, 60 decibels is like right on the cusp. Like if you connected an SM7B to that, it could probably power it and have enough gain, but you're going to be like maxing everything out. I don't know how clean the preamps are. So if they're prone to having any kind of noise or hiss, you're really going to start hearing it when you max everything out. Whereas the Rodecaster has 76 decibels of gain, and most newer interfaces, I'm surprised the Yamaha doesn't. Most newer interfaces have at least 70. Some of them even go up to 80. And that, when you're past 70 decibels of gain, you can basically run any mic, no need for a booster or anything like that. So the fact that it only has 60 decibels of gain, I didn't look into the other features because it's probably pretty standard. That right there leans me towards the Rodecaster Duo. In addition to the Rodecaster has the built-in effects, built-in processing, very robust routing. The Duo has been out for what, like 2.5, 3 years at this point. And the Rodecaster Pro 2 has been out for almost 4 years. I think I talked about this last week. They're still getting active firmware updates. Like they're both in process of getting firmware updates to act as video switchers for the Rodecaster Video Core that was announced at CES in January. So they've been out for a while, but they still have so much untapped processing power in them that Rode is like continuing to update them. For sure, they're still relevant. No other mixers available, period, get the amount of updates and new features and refinement that the Rodecasters do. Not a single other option does. So I don't know, that leans me towards those. And I've tried other ones. I've been like, hey, this one looks cool over here. Maybe this will be the one. If the Yamaha were half the price, if it were, something like that, had a killer feature that outdid the Rodecaster, that might be different. But for the same price, I think it's Rodecaster all day. Let's see. Webcam with Mac, background blur versus full frame camera. When you're dealing with getting bokeh blur on cameras, yeah, a webcam will never compete with a full frame camera. This is a full frame camera. I'm at f2.0, and there's what looks like very nice background blur. And for an example, here's a very nice webcam. If I hold up my hand close to the camera, maybe it'll focus on that. Yeah, they're not really going to get much background blur. You're going to get a very clear image. If you're getting blurry backgrounds with webcams, what you're probably actually getting is digital, your software is blurring out the background for you. So I tend not to like the way that looks. It's not, and that's regular webcams. The YoloCam S3, I've been very impressed with how good it looks, and I've been able to get little bits of background separation on that. And then if you move into higher end things like the YoloCam S7, which is a mirrorless webcam, actually that's my video tomorrow. It's all about that. Yeah, then it will go there. Just joining. What's up? Did you discuss thoughts on the Stream Deck Plus XL today? I've not, other than I said I think they're really cool. The Stream Deck XL it's the Stream Deck Plus, but bigger with more buttons and more knobs, and that is cool for Stream Deck power users. And I think Elgato's recognizing that there are a lot of people who have multiple Stream Decks for different purposes. They've just had them for a while, and it's like instead of having, you know, 2 different Stream Decks that you have to program separately that are taking up 2 different inputs on your computer, why not just combine? Why not just make an even bigger, more powerful Stream Deck? They've had the Stream Deck XL for a while, which has a lot of buttons on it, but not the Plus, which has knobs and like a screen and stuff. So that's probably, it's got to be the most fully featured Stream Deck they've ever made. Oh, Casablanca, we're talking about size and stuff. They made a smaller piano so that Bogart would look taller. Yeah, if you ever go to Universal Studios and you go to the Old West backlot where they used to film a lot of like the old like John Wayne Westerns, everything is small. Like the the doorways are all like 3/4 scale or something like that, so that even an average sized person like myself would look like big and intimidating standing in the doorways. Lunchtime Q&A. What's up, nerd affiliated? Hope your 3D printing journey is fun. I know I'm way behind on comments, but I just like chatting, so we'll be there. Hey, thank you for the super chat. Sorry I missed this. Fiery Guy 13, love the content, helped a lot with my channels. I'm really happy to hear that. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at Aaron's thing. It does like a very fancy glow effect. Damn, Aaron. You're so good at what you do. That's cool. I'm very much enjoying this extension. First thing he said to me is, you're taller than I thought. Yeah, we're back to the height conversation. Matt is very tall. Curtis is 6'5". Yeah, you can see me interviewing Curtis at NAB last year in a video on the channel, and the height difference is hilarious. You need one of those 23-inch prompters. I was interested in the Prompter XL, but like, I guess I kind of have space for it over here. It's the 15-inch one, but you know, every day space is getting more limited in here. Tom Cruise is probably the best example of like somebody who is not the biggest person in the world, but has a career based on camera tricks making him look bigger. Tom got a haircut. I got all of them cut. The Wavelength 3.0 was super buggy on Mac for a minute. Oh yeah. They had a beta version, and I was so curious about it, but I didn't want to try it because I didn't want to mess up anything. I just didn't want to mess up anything, so I was waiting for the full release, which looks like that came out yesterday or today, and so I might be playing around with that. David asks, any recommendations for a shotgun mic to use in a really badly treated room? It's quite echoey, and I'm not sure how to best treat it. Hollyland Lark M2 is struggling a bit. Matt, if you're still here and you know shotgun mics for badly treated rooms, there you go. The thing I would lean towards recommending is looking into pencil condenser microphones, which is kind of sort of ish where the M50 is, and they tend to just be more directional and better. That's what I used when I was teaching broadcast, and I built a studio with lots of students, and it wasn't like, it was sound treated but not perfectly sound treated, and pencil condensers really helped reduce like the reverb that I was hearing in the room. There's all kinds of different ones. They actually don't have to be that expensive, and a lot of times what's really cool is you can get pencil condenser mics that come in matched pairs. So you get 2 microphones in the kit, and they are specifically like tested together, matched together, so that they work really well if you want to use them on like multiple sources and stuff, which is very, very cool. Coffee Talk Tech, what's up, John? Wavelength 3.0 is great. Just made my Stream Deck Plus useless in beta because it wasn't integrated. Happy now. Okay, yeah, the beta seemed a little funky, but I'm glad it's working now. Everybody's jumping on the new Elgato updates, which is very cool. My silly comment highlight. It's funny. Got that H2S, and I got the H2C, and I'm excited for you to see what I can do with it. That is a very big Bamboo Lab printer that they sent over last week, and I've been testing out this week, and it's very expensive, and it is amazing. It's not the one I spent my own money on because there's no way I would budget that out, but yeah, it's great. It's great, especially if you do a lot of complex multicolor prints. Andy got the MKH50. Yes, definitely hear the difference between a small camera shotgun mic. Yeah, the 50, I talked about this last week on its own, and I have comparison videos on the channel. It's a great sounding mic. You're just going to be, oh, this is great. You can also find other microphones that you can boom out of frame that also sound great. And you can even do ones like the The one I always recommend is the Audio-Technica AT897. It's about $250. It's a nice shotgun mic, probably more similar to the Sennheiser 416 than the 50, but it sounds awesome. You can EQ it to match the 50 very closely, but the benefit to a mic like the 50 is that, like, it's not just can you use these tools to get to the endpoint you want to get to? It's like, how many stops do you have to make on the way? You know, are you taking a direct flight or are you having like multiple layovers? You get to the same destination, but I think most people, especially if you travel a lot, would just want the direct flight. And that's kind of the difference. You can get there with the other things, but the process is just funky. If you're only using it every once in a while, it doesn't matter. But if you're using it constantly, it actually saves a lot of time. That flight analogy is like the perfect analogy. I'm going to be using that again for sure. When you're not using your new mic arm you 3D printed. I actually should have used that. I should have. But I'm just using the one. This is my closest thing I have to a consistent office setup. So this is the Elgato WaveArm Pro. And I like it because it has the pneumatic arm right here, which makes adjustability very easy. Apple's products announcements were kind of disappointing. I'm happy with them because I don't want anything. So that's a good thing. Let's see. They did the thing. Yeah, they did the thing. They announced the MacBook. This is so silly. They announced the MacBook Neo, which I'm interested in because of the colors. But of course, they did the thing where, like, the fun, colorful version is the least powerful one. Cool. I'm glad it's the most affordable. That's awesome. But, like, hey, the thing that I'm actually spending a ton of money on, I would like to be more interesting looking. That's just me, personally. I've been wanting, like, a blue MacBook forever. My current MacBook, the M1 Max that I've had forever, is the spacebar broke on it, which sucks. Well, it didn't even really break. It just started sticking and like sticking down. And I have Apple Care on it, so I took it to the Apple Store. They replaced the spacebar, and it was still kind of funky. And they're like, well, it is under Apple Care, so we can replace the keyboard. And I was like, well, if it's covered, why not do that? Otherwise, the computer works fine. And then they ran some diagnostics, and they were like, oh, your trackpad's also broken. And I was like, really? It's not giving me any problems. And they said that the trackpads are just calibrated so finely that, like, sometimes they send failure notices that you don't notice yet, but it could be an indication that it will fail and become noticeable. So they're replacing, and because of the way Macs are built, not modularly, to replace the keyboard and the trackpad means they also have to replace the battery and like one of the speakers and some of the ports. So it's very much like a complete refresh of the 5-year-old computer for $0. So I was like, yes, please do that. I'll take it. And then I did look because I was curious. Now that there's the M5 Max, I have the M1 Max. Figured, hey, M5 Max, like, that is definitely going to be a more powerful computer than I have. But my computer kind of does everything I need it to do, and I've had it for 5 years now almost. So I don't really have any complaints about it. But I was just kind of curious, like, okay, pricing, mine when I got it was $4,000. It's the most expensive computer I ever had, but it's been my main work computer for 5 years, so totally worth it. Pricing out a currently, like, similarly spec'd M5 Max is the same price. So I was like, oh, okay, I could probably get a less powerful computer, like even just like an M4 Max or an M5 Pro or whatever, and it would be less expensive than I spent on the M1 Max. But I honestly don't know. I don't need it. Like, mine is fine. It does everything I need to do. And the other thing, getting my M1 Max when I had the Intel i9 MacBook was like, I needed the power, I needed the performance, I needed the quietness of the M series processor, and I also needed the physical I/O, like the HDMI and the MagSafe connector and just like more USB. I needed all that stuff, the built-in SD card reader, which I use constantly, and there aren't those kind of changes either. So for me, the new computers, they're not disappointing, but there's no need to upgrade because the only thing they offer is more power, and that's awesome. That's what you want out of a new computer, but currently, I don't need more power out of the computer. The only thing that my Mac was letting me down in currently was gaming, which I don't know that I think that's just a Mac thing. I don't know if it's a processor thing. And then I have this PC that I'm using right now that solves that problem. So we're good as far as that goes. I think the Stream Deck part of the Corsair doesn't work for Mac. It does. The keyboard, it totally does. But I just the keyboard's great. It's just $350. I was like, you guys are on something if you think that this is worth that. And James is saying it does work. I feel the same as Tom. He was very PC centric, especially with the initial config. Yeah, it's I mean, that's fine. The Corsair with the Stream Deck costs $450. Oh yeah, Switzerland, everything's more expensive. Yeah, it's $350 in the US, $450 over there. It is. I looked up, and I in my video that I'm working on for next week, I mentioned this, and I sent all this feedback to Elgato because I was like, look, I was expecting this to be a very positive video, and I don't usually make negative videos, but it is what it is, and I think there's something valuable in. Well, one, I actually think this is important because I would have been duped into thinking that this is for some reason worth this price. But if you look up like a similar quality keyboard, which would probably even be better because it would be wireless, and then you look up a similarly capable Stream Deck, you can get both of those things for like, even if you get like nice versions, you can get them for like $250. So no, they're not integrated, but you have more wireless capabilities and it's $100 less. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. The keyboard itself though, like that's what I'm saying, as just a thing, if it's given to you, it's nice. I ended up giving it to a friend who just recently got a bunch of Elgato. He's like the face cam and the key lights and a bunch of Elgato stuff. And I was like, actually, this might be perfect for you because now you can control all of your Elgato stuff with this keyboard. And even though I don't think it's worth the price, it's definitely worth free. It's a great keyboard for $0. It would be a great keyboard for like $200. Still use mine and we'll be taking it to NAB. So I have some bad news. I will not be going to NAB this year. I have some overlapping schedule stuff. I wanted to go. Last year I went to NAB for 3 days. I think the past 2 years I've gone for 3 days, and I felt like it wasn't enough time. This year I would only be able to go for basically 1 day, 1.5 days. And I was actually going to, and there was even like I was going to like do a workshop at a thing. But it just was so condensed it wouldn't be fun. And then there's another event that week right afterwards. So unfortunately no NAB for me this year. But what I want to do is then next year plan out like the longest NAB, like at least 4 days, if not like the full time. Wish there was a hot shoe adapter for Canon too. That is such a such a nice feature that the DJI mics have, and I think Saramonic offers it too, but it's just for Sony. So it must be something with Sony's infrastructure architecture. Wobbly Q, my favorite mic for sure is the Shure SM7B and the Elgato Wave Mic Arm LP. Yeah, that's usually what my SM7B actually. I'm doing like some videos on video switchers. So my SM7B is just right there, and then this mic was right here on these arms. But yeah, the SM7B, I've talked about this before. It's a mic I didn't even want because it's so like, you know, it's like, oh, you're a 40-year-old white guy with an SM7B. God dang, it's such a good mic. It probably is my favorite mic. Just, it's good. It needs to be EQ'd, but it's so good. The Galleon, that's the name of the keyboard, doesn't tilt high enough. You can clearly, yeah, it has little feet, but they aren't, that sort of depends. Like this one, the Kludge that I mentioned has feet. This Keychron doesn't have any feet, which I guess maybe I'd like it tilted a little more. Maybe I could 3D print something, but it has a natural wedge shape to it that kind of works. Ah, Cam, yes. I just want to see people be happy with creating. Exactly. Happy and fun. Violet, what's up, Violet? I'm not partial to blue. I cannot stand blue. It's the worst color. From your pal Aaron, I checked out the H2R graphics and I'm interested in using the Rodecaster Video S. What's the best way to get those graphics into my RCV? NDI is the wrong flavor. OBS. Let's see. H2R graphics. I don't know what H2R graphics are. You have to explain that. I joined the chat in the thumbnail. Your monitor's engulfed in flames. That's a thumbnail I made a while ago. So again, my MacBook is in the shop, so I kind of had to just use something old, and I was too lazy to make a brand new thumbnail. But streaming, I mean, I've streamed on my PC a few times, but this is the first time I've tried to do like a more fully featured OBS stream, and I kind of figured things might go wrong, and that thumbnail I love because it just is sometimes how it feels when you stream and everything goes wrong. The chat's double, triple posting me. Yeah, no, I figured that was not you. It's no problem. The newer X1 is seems like a cool prompter. I haven't used it. It's a really good price. It's like $100, and it's basically Newer's version of the Elgato prompter, which is cool. Built-in display and everything. It's amazing for that price. So the benefit to it is I think it's kind of agnostic. Like you can use it on its own as a standalone device. I think it takes like any HDMI source, so that's a benefit. But the downside, though, also is, especially if you want to use it for scripting, I know people give Elgato's Camera Hub software a hard time, and it is buggy, and it does need some fixes. It's the best prompter software around, period. Like even at the professional level, prompter software is notoriously awful. And yeah, so that's that there. Matt, what is going on here? You do not think, Matt, you are dedicating so much time and effort to like helping me moderate the Discord, doing all this stuff, but I appreciate your support. It will go to either date night or YouTube channel stuff. Glad to see you streaming more. I'm taking my Leica Q3 to NAB so you can use any of my pictures. I would like to get a chance to see that in person, but unfortunately not this year, sadly. It's a bummer. You can run the Rodecaster video into Ecamm or OBS and then drag the preview window over to the Elgato prompter. Oh yeah, that would work. That would work. Thinking about buying a Beacon microphone, which I always read as Bacon microphone. They seem to have awesome software, but I'll wait for your review. So I've never used that one because, as far as I understand it, they are Windows only. They're USB microphones that require Windows. I've not had access to Windows up until now, and I just realized recently, I don't know if you were the one talking to me in comments about a Beacon mic, but the other day someone mentioned it, and I was like, wait, I could actually try that out now. I did hear some interesting things about their practices behind the scenes that made me less enthusiastic about just like the brand in general. But that was, somebody else's experience. As I don't know. I have no experience with them. So it is something maybe worth checking out right now. Any thoughts on the Rodecaster Pro 3? I have not heard anything. I don't know anything about it. I have no idea. I could imagine Rode not updating the Rodecasters for a couple of years because there's not really much they need to change. There was such a need for an update from the original Rodecaster to the Pro 2, and then the Duo just like refined it and added, it simplified it actually. And there was like a need for that. I don't feel that same need. So it's like an update would be almost like, how Apple needs to update the iPhone every year, but it's like there's not that much of a difference between the 15, the 16, the 17. So especially with audio gear, I don't think people want to upgrade their interfaces, their mixers, their microphones that often. So something needs to really offer new flexibility, new capabilities, really improve a workflow in a cool way or an important way for it to be a good update. And I don't know what they could do. I'm sure they've thought about this. I'm sure there are prototypes floating around the Rode factories of whatever it might look like. But I don't know. I could imagine them keeping these out for a couple more years, basically till they hit that like processing limit. Or I could also imagine them being like this summer, hey, new Rodecasters. It seems like they're focusing on the Rodecaster video lineup now. So you have the Rodecaster Video, the Video S, and then the newly announced Video Core. And that seems like a pretty full lineup. And then I don't know if they kind of get those out, get those up and running, and then maybe jump back and re-examine the pros. But it's like, in terms of audio, I don't know what more they could possibly do. So it's almost like now you're integrating the video and the audio, which I know the Rodecaster videos already have audio integrated, but I think a thing people want, I'm thinking about this. So the Rodecaster Video Core essentially adds video capabilities to a Rodecaster Pro, and then use the Rodecaster Pro's physical controls to control the core. I think that's what a lot of people kind of thought the original Rodecaster Video was going to be, including myself. And then it's really more of like, it's a simplified device that's control-wise more geared towards video, and you don't really have a lot of audio controls kind of without using kind of digging into menus or using the software application. I really like the idea of the core because it adds new functionality to existing products and it gives you physical controls over the video. And I think that's a great reason for them to do it. They recognize there's people who already have Roadcasters and they might be hesitant to buy a Roadcaster video. So like, here's just a simple thing that adds that to it. And especially, originally the Roadcaster Duos or the Video S was $500 and they said the core is going to be under that. Now, because of the rising cost of everything, computer components and stuff, the Video S is $800. So the core is going to be cheaper than that, but I don't know if it's going to be as cheap or as inexpensive as they originally planned. And that's kind of a determining factor, I think, on how successful it will be. But I think the original idea of a very affordable thing that adds video capabilities to an existing product is awesome. It could also then conceivably be a test product for how do people like a bigger audio video thing. And I don't know what it would be called. Roadcaster Video Extreme. I don't know. Something like that, where it is the full on, you have audio and video with full physical controls in one thing, one console. I would actually really like that. I don't know if they're, and 4K. Get the Zoom P4. Oh, yeah, there's the P4. Is it called the P4 Next, or are you telling me to get it next? Because I did do the original P4. I think they did update it, though. Yeah, they did. I don't remember if we were just talking about it or we got it, but Bronson from Audio Hotline did, I think, order it, or at least we were talking about it. Let me bring up my browser window. That's the outro. We don't want that. There we go. Yeah, so similarly to the original P4, it's simple 4-input mixer, $150. Very difficult to argue with that. But the thing, it has 70 decibels a gain. So this is pretty sweet. It's kind of hard to argue. It's kind of hard to argue with that, period, for that price. So no complaints. I do remember the original P4 had 70 decibels, which is nice because you can, it's like I talked about, you can run an SM7B, but they weren't the quietest preamp. So if you were maxing them out, getting into the 60 decibel range, you started getting a little bit of noise. I don't know if they updated the preamps in this. That was my question. But either way, like honestly, even if they didn't, 4 XLR inputs with like, you got some processing, you got some sound pads, you got onboard recording, you've got 70 decibels a gain for $150 is really, really tough to argue with. So I think any complaints I have can just be negated by the fact that it's $150 and it does all this. So shush. Hello, Stefan in the UK. What's up? Oh, 70. Thank you for just throwing that up there. Rodecaster Pro 2 or Go XLR. Rodecaster Pro 2, one, because it just has the best preamps, period, but also because Go XLR is discontinued. So it's not getting updated. It's end of life. It's not compatible anymore, whereas Rodecaster Pro 2 actively updated. Matt says, looking at clean output, USB out. FYI, I don't buy anything right now until after NAB. That's probably true at this point. NAB being next month. We know Blackmagic always announces stuff at NAB. So how many USB webcams can you connect to the Mac Mini M4? I don't know. On my M1 Mac Mini and my M1 Max MacBook Pro, I think I've done up to 3 USB webcams. I don't think I've tried to like max it out, but I've definitely used all the USB ports, and they've been fine. So, do you have a sweet unboxing knife and handy dandy flashlight? I have. My unboxing knife is a Swiss Army knife, or Victorinox knife that I got in Switzerland. So it's legit Swiss. It's the Tinkerer version of that. Let's see. B-Tech Baby just tried to go live on TikTok, had so many issues. Are you able to go live through Ecamm? I'm using OBS today, but you should be able. Can you do TikTok on Ecamm? I don't remember off the top of my head. I think you can add in custom sources, but I don't know if it's right there. Sorry, I'm just kind of catching up. I know I fell way behind. Lucas says, I got the ECM B1M set up on auto levels, but it picks up my breathing. Yeah. I've had that too. Let me see. Oh, did my light die over here? I guess it did. Yeah, here's my B1M. So this is a very cool microphone that can go into Sony Hot Shoes, and then you don't need any cables. The controls on the back, you have levels, and you can set it to manual or auto. Auto is really nice because it controls things automatically, but it can sometimes be really aggressive. So I have learned to kind of not use auto. And I usually keep mine right below 5 at like 4.5 on the little dial back here. And that, at least when I'm like behind the camera or close to the camera, that seems to work well and not pick up like the breathing and stuff. But yeah, otherwise it picks up your voice just fine. And then you're quiet and you're just like breathing or making sounds, and it like boosts those levels, which is not fun. Pop that back there. Oi. Stay. We'll keep things nice and organized. Premiere Review has the Sennheiser MKE 600. Awesome, and loves it. Are you loving the Sony a7 IV? Yes, this thing has been absolutely fantastic. No complaints so far. It's great, and I love it, and it's amazing. You fell for the Mac repair trap. There's probably nothing wrong with the track. I mean, it was $0, so there was something wrong with the keyboard, and everything else is $0, so if it cost money, that would be different. I mean, it did cost money because I had to pay for AppleCare for 5 years. So it's what, $100 a year. So it's $500 over 5 years, and I haven't used it until now. So yeah, it did not cost money, but there we go. OWC Thunderbolt 5 is insanely fast, and that's why I got the Pro chip. Oh, see, that's actually a very good argument for upgrading, especially if you want to connect external drives and components and things. Makes a lot of sense. Let's see. Premiere has the baseline M4 Mac Mini, and it's a beast. Yeah, I mean, my M1 Max is a beast still. Sony made their camera interface open for third-party companies to use. That's why the hot shoe and the lens mount, and yeah, that's the biggest difference. That makes sense. It makes sense that Canon did not do that because they tend to not like those things. Let's see here. Boop, 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 boop. Is it a trap if it's free? Yeah, I feel, because yeah. And it's funny too, because they even tested the battery, and like technically my battery was fine. It still had like 92% health or whatever, which I was really surprised by. I just assumed after this long it wouldn't be good. But they were like, it doesn't matter because the keyboard requires new battery replacement, so you're going to get a new battery. And it's like, yeah, sweet. I'll do it. You're usually suckered into a place that had nothing to do with the actual issue. I mean, the thing with AppleCare, though, is like, for me, I have not used AppleCare for 4.5 years till now, and I used it. So, in theory, I think I've paid for it 4 times, so $400. The repair on its own for everything they're doing would be about $700. So, save $300. But I could have used AppleCare in the interim. You know, if my keyboard was messed up or I messed it up prior, I could use, like, I just take really good care of my stuff, luckily, and didn't need AppleCare. But in theory, I could have used it a bunch of times till now, and then it's hard to predict. That's why you kind of get that sort of stuff, right? It just needs a 3D riser for the keyboard. Yeah, see, that's all we need. That's all we need. Let's see. Sebastian says, just want to let you know from an audio branding and podcast production area that you're my all-time. Wow. Thank you. I had a range of emotions reading that, because just letting you know, I was like, oh, the second half is going to be like, you're messing up and everything's terrible. And instead it's like the nicest compliment ever. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Take the wife to get that ice cream. Yes, that's what we will do. Matt gave us a handles budget with his super chat. Oh, thank you for this one. 1,600 yen? Dang. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate this. 20 student Tokyo class remote teacher. Best setup. Multi PTZ faces or high res wide shot to read the room. I would say, as someone who has taught online a bunch, I would do multiple things. I don't think a manual mixer is too distracting. It sort of depends on your teaching style. And if you're the one, I don't know if you're the one like running the class and you're essentially doing production, or if you're the teacher who's also doing production. That's what I did. And that's right when the ATEM Mini came out originally. And I was like, this is the best thing ever, because I had my main shot like this. I had a top-down shot. I usually had wide shots, or whatever. I could bring in all the stuff and just switch between as I needed it. And it really helped me to be a more effective teacher, because I could communicate more effectively without being in the same room with my students. It made the lessons more engaging. It really worked. And that was before PTZ cameras and tracking were as common as they are now. So if I were to do a setup like that now, I would some sort of mixer switcher. That could be a physical thing like an ATEM or a Rodecaster or whatever. Or if you're doing everything just through USB cameras, it could be just a Stream Deck sitting at the front where the teacher has easy access to it and can just push like 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't get into like crazy switching, just different angles. They would need some sort of monitor so they can confirm what is active at any point in time. Then I would have a main shot, which is probably a wide shot. So you see them. They probably have a board or whatever, presentation slides. You see everything. I would probably just use a PTZ camera for a more close-up like tracking shot. So it can be more dynamic. And then depending on what the subject is and how the classroom is set up, some other either like a top-down shot if it's something where we need to see what they're doing on like a work surface, or like a close-up like hand camera. So if they're putting something together, making something, whatever, explaining details, a camera that's zoomed in really tight. So at least 3 cameras, and then a simple way for the person teaching to switch between them. And that's not hard at all, I don't think, because it's the same thing as a live stream. Like if I go to the browser and I want to talk to the browser, I know I just need to click the browser button to show you the browser. When I want to go back, I just click the main scene button and go back over here. So that's what I think is the best way to do it. There's so many options and so many ways to do that now with relatively budget-friendly gear, like 2 or 3 USB webcams and OBS for free, and you're done. And you can even use a keyboard for the hotkeys for switching, or you can use a Stream Deck for something a little more dynamic. Yeah. My Empty Hands podcast, enjoying your work. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate that. My wallet can't handle any more Rode gear right now. Yeah, Rode is the thing they're getting me with is the freaking colors. They're releasing everything in cool colors, and it's hard not to just want all the colors. What software are you using? I'm using Aaron Parecki's YouTube Chat Overlay. I think that's what it's called. If you go to Google and you type in Aaron Parecki Chat Overlay, it's a free Chrome extension. It works great. This is my first time using it. Managing questions, tracking which comments I've done, not done, finding hot keywords, super chats. It's like, honestly, that experience is actually better than Ecamm. The way I'm actually navigating through the comments and keeping them organized is better than Ecamm, which is awesome. And what's really cool, what I like about this, I mentioned before, you don't have to connect it to your YouTube account. So it's just, you just go to a live stream and pop out the chat, and then that's what you use. I could pull in comments from any public stream on YouTube right now. Do you think the new Rode Hub, that's right, they came out with the Hub, I haven't tried that yet, will allow for more USB webcams to be connected to my M4 and be seen in Ecamm? It should, because it's a high-speed powered hub. So I don't see why it wouldn't, but I haven't used it myself, so I can't say for sure. Best suggestions for using Android phones as NDI cameras. I have an app on my phone, but it's not an Android phone. It's just like NDI capture. I don't know. I think it was $20 for like a lifetime license. I don't know if they also have an Android version, but I've had it for years and it works great. So if they have that, that's the way to go. Tech for your needs. What up? Hello there. Very answer to the question about Android. And yeah, that's my answer to that. I don't know. I was very close last fall. I needed to get a new phone because my iPhone 14 was not reliable. I ended up getting the iPhone 17, which I really love, but I was very close to getting the flippy Samsung phone with the Galaxy Z Flip something. It's so cool. But I was just like looking, I'm deep in the Apple ecosystem, and that's not a bad thing because it overall makes things easier on a day-to-day basis, but it's limiting in terms of like what I would have to do is like, which I've thought about if like, I don't know, there was a good deal or something, is basically just get another phone line. I think we even have on our phone plan, I think when we signed up with T-Mobile like several years ago, it was just my wife and I, but it was cheaper to have like a third line than to just have the 2 lines. So I think we actually have an unused third line. So wouldn't really be paying more in terms of like phone bill. I just need to get the phone, and then I've thought about having an Android phone for the sake of like being able to test these things. Are you streaming in 4K right now? I am, but I'm using a 1080 camera, so I don't know. I don't know how that looks. Let me see how it looks. I don't know what OBS is. I mean, it looks good to me. Yeah, all right. Are there any upcoming events that will be part of the panel? I'm going to a middle school career day next week. It's probably not something you'll be at. Yeah, that's the only one I know. I don't have anything else scheduled. I was going to do some workshops at NAB, but scheduling just kind of got a little bit funky, and for like my own sanity, I ended up not being able to do those. Yeah, Apple Care is just like insurance. You never know when you're going to need an extended warranty. Sometimes you never need it, you know, and then you almost feel like a sucker. For me, I was like, I spent $4,000 on this computer. If I was spend $100 a year to just know that if something happens, I travel with it often, it gets dropped, something, you know, it's not that every repair is free with Apple Care, but like, I think even if you like crack the display and it's like an accidental damage, I guess, it's like a $200 repair, which, you know, if you were trying to replace the display on your own, that would be way more than that. So. Got a question regarding your studio background. Did you hire an interior designer? If you did yourself, how did you go about it? Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for saying that. Definitely did not hire an interior designer. It's just me. It's something that's developed over years. You can see my very first YouTube videos filmed in the same space. You can see how it has developed over the years. Our house was built in 2015, and So I started my YouTube channel in 2017. So when I had this room, which was like my office, I had no idea it was going to be like literally my workspace, full-time workspace one day. But at the time, I was like, this is my office. So I wanted a nice blue wall. I had a blue room as a kid and I loved it. So I painted the wall blue, and I didn't have nearly as many like frames and artwork, but I had a decent chunk. And so I put those up there. And then I had this desk, actually I'm sitting at, was on this back wall. And the reason I painted the wall like that and put the frames was so that when I was working at my desk, I could look up and see the color and the artwork and stuff. And then it just looked really nice. And then when it came time to do a YouTube channel, I was like, well, obviously I should use this really nice background. But now it's funny because I spend most of my time facing this, which right now is exceptionally messy. Because I'm in the middle of like multi-cam switcher videos, so there needs to be multiple cameras and cables everywhere and audio, and it's a mess. But it's like, yeah, it's just funny that I intended to like, let me set up this beautiful background so I can look at it and enjoy it, and I spend most of my time not looking at it now. But yeah, I'm really picky about spaces. I've always been a visual person. I have my classrooms when I was teaching, I'm very proud of. They were like really cool spaces to be in, to learn in, to spend your time. And kind of the same thing, here. I think, let me see. Can I move this camera easily? I think I should be able to. Yeah. So, like the guitars on the wall is a nice thing. I try to make everything actually look pretty nice in here. This area is messy right now. And I do have, I don't know if my camera can reach all this, but I do have some nice stuff to look at here on this wall in front of me. And mics all over the walls and everything. But yeah, a lot of times I'm looking at kind of this view over here is what I see, which like I could close that closet door and it would be cleaner looking. But I've wanted to do something there. But I really just tried to make this a fun space for me to be in. Which is why it took years. It's not something that I put together in a day or a weekend. Like if we were to move, I don't know, I'd be starting from scratch and it'd probably take years to fill in a new space. But I think that's what's kind of cool is like everything has everything on the wall. It's not like just go to Hobby Lobby and buy like all the stuff and put the random stuff on the walls. Like everything has a story behind it. Everything has a purpose. Everything is unique. Every guitar on the wall has a story and like how and when I got it. Like everything means something. And I think that's what I'm glad that it looks good visually. Some people hate it because it's so like bright, colorful, and too much, but I'm glad you like it. It means a lot to me. What's up, bro? From Ocean, Sri Lanka. There we go. Nice to see you here. Thank you for being here. You have the big 7, the Flip 7, and your biggest complaint is battery life. Okay. I could see that because it's a compact phone with 3 displays, basically. Interesting. And that was my big complaint on my 14 was the battery was not lasting. The battery on the 17, it's been so good. I don't have to worry about it. I've never drained the battery on this phone in the, 5 months I've had it now. Is there a road capture for Android? It does NDI. I don't know. See, I should get an Android phone. We use it on a gimbal and add it as a mobile cam for some church event. I don't remember what camera we're talking about there. JFK needs to add my car to download iOS apps and lock down. Oh, SIM card to down third-party stores. Always what stops me from getting an iPhone. I mean, the iPhones, I don't have there was a time, we'll call it the late 2000s, early 2010s, where I was I was the Apple fan, and I even, I built Apple Labs at schools. My last teaching position when I built that program was contingent. That was a school district that had no Macs. It was a PC only district. And I was like, I'm not taking this job unless we can start incorporating Macs. And so now there's Macs at all the schools, but I was the one who brought Macs to that whole district. And I think that was the right choice because we're talking about arts, media, entertainment. Macs are kind of the dominant thing in that field. And that's what students needed experience with. And I mean, the fact that the only thing that's gone wrong with my main work computer in 5 years is that the spacebar got sticky, the action or whatever, the travel got funky, wore out. That's pretty good. So even my now 12-year-old MacBook Pro, that's the oldest Mac I currently have, still works. It's totally obsolete and it's a little bit slow, but I can boot it up and check email and stuff, no problem. About the P2S based on your video. Oh, I'm so glad. That's the Bamboo printer. The P2S is awesome. Bamboo sent over the H2C this week, and it is crazy. So I'm testing it out this week and printing out a bunch of stuff to compare. But yeah, so I have a video about it that'll should come out on Saturday. But the thing I'm trying to be super clear on is it's very cool that Bamboo sent that printer. It's fun. It's an amazing printer. But when I was spending my money shopping for printers that weren't being sent to me, the P2S is the one that I chose. And that was 1,000% the right decision. And that's the one I would recommend far and away for most people. It's such a good printer. Tech for your needs, getting insurance for my equipment. Yeah. I mean, gear insurance is a very real thing. Dropping cameras, breaking lenses, stuff getting stolen, gosh, like your digital clock. Yeah, it actually works really well. It's just an Amazon thing. It's funny, I bought it, I intended for it to be a timer back in the pandemic when I was teaching online. I wanted, they have in broadcast control rooms, I'd have say we have a 70-minute class period or something. I wanted to be able to put 70 minutes on the timer and have a big countdown so I just knew how much time I had left. The clock doesn't work that way. It doesn't have that kind of timer. There's no easy way to do it, but just having the time really big actually helps. And I guess it's a minute behind, a minute or two. It loses time once or twice a year. I have to kind of bump it up, but overall it's quite good. It works well. It's just Velcroed to the wall, so it works great. Nothing fancy there, but it's really handy to have that. It is. This is a workspace. That was something that was important to me. Was I wanted my space that I make my videos on, my space, to be a space that's actively used. There's totally nothing wrong. Nothing at all wrong with building a set. And this is, I have built sets, where it's this is just you. This is all visual. There's a person in it or people in it, but the thing behind it is all visual. No one's using that stuff. No one's touching that stuff. That's fine. But I wanted it to be hopefully you can imagine when the camera's off, I am still in here doing stuff, working on things, tinkering with stuff, hanging out. It is a space that is used constantly. And I like that because that way when I make the videos, I want them to look nice, but I want it to feel like you're in the space. You're in this space with me, checking out this stuff or learning about this stuff or whatever. That's what I want. How did you move your camera like that? This is the OBSBot Tiny 3. So it's a PTZ camera, and then I just have the OBSBot app on my computer here, so I can just control it that way. Or I could I could track it. And now when I move, I can use no hands and it will track me, which is very cool. I mean, there's, I really love the OBSBot cameras, but PTZ cameras, PTZ webcams are very popular now, very common, and very affordable. And they are awesome. I really wish when I was teaching online, they had those. Violet worked for Apple back in 03 to 05. Nice. Did you work retail or did you work corporate? I'm curious. You have layers. Every time I think I have an understanding of Violet and your background, another layer pops up. And it's always interesting. What's funny now is I'm a Mac user, but still with an Android phone because I got to add. Oh, yeah. I mean, I totally get it. And, diving into the world of PCs last year where it's like, I can just replace my capture card. I can just replace, not now with prices, but in theory, like, yeah, you want to upgrade. I know things can cascade. You can upgrade one component that then almost requires you to upgrade other components. But like, if I want to add more internal storage to my MacBook Pro, I can't. So the storage I got when I got it 5 years ago is the storage it has. Whereas if I want to add more storage here, I can. And, it's a different philosophy and they have pros and cons to those approaches, which is actually why I just like using both. So it's like not a preference, but it's like, I really like having both, which is now making me think it would be fun to have an Android phone, if nothing else, purely for like experimenting and testing and answering these kinds of questions. Love your chair. What brand am I? Oh my gosh. I don't know. This is the Amazon, like 6-letter brands. I could probably find it. I got this a while ago. Okay, so you might have noticed in this shot here, if I pan the camera, or actually no, I'm blocking it. There's another chair over here, another white chair. That is an IKEA chair, and it's great. It was $60. I had one of these. I had one of these when I was teaching too. And honestly, like, it's pretty comfortable. It's super cheap and they last forever. This one is 7 years old. The other one I had is like over 10 years old. It's still in my old classroom. I just left it there. So it's, as far as I know, still being used to this day. The problem is that's my dog's chair. Our corgi has taken that over since the time he was a puppy. Like, he is waiting outside the door. And if I open that door, he will come in and be in this chair, which let's see. Can we make this happen? Let me see. Oh, you want to go to your chair? Here. Want to go to your chair? Come on. Sorry, he was taking a nap in a different room. Now he looks confused. Come on. Oh, see now I put him on the spot. He got a little uncomfortable. We'll see if he comes in and does that. Anyway, normally he stays in that chair so much that like I find myself sitting on my drum stool. So I needed to get a new chair last year, or actually about a year and a half ago. I got a new chair, and it was nice. It was this very nice like fake leather chair, kind of like this one. It had a footrest. It had everything. Oh, the Voness, yeah. But it fell apart. The armrests are really what started falling apart. They like within weeks were like cracking and crumbling and like getting super thin. And I was just like, what the heck is happening here? There we go. This chair is this one, the R-Shark. Office chair, $100, $110. Comes in different colors. It's very lightweight. It is the armrests lift up, which I actually really like. It's fabric. So I did that because for some reason this IKEA chair, the fabric holds up great. Or the fake leather or whatever holds up great. Even to like our dog who has spent thousands and thousands of hours sleeping in that chair. But I was a little hesitant on like, okay, sorry. This is a whole story. So I posted a thing to Instagram and on Instagram stories, and I was like, hey, I need a new office chair. Any recommendations? I got a couple of recommendations. I don't think I've ever gotten more replies to an Instagram post in my life. And all of them except for like 2 or 3 were people just saying, please let me know what you decide. I hate my chair. Everybody just hates their chairs. And I was like, oh my God, nobody likes their office chairs. Heather, my wife, just got a new chair recently, and it is the Corsair TC500. It's a really high-end, rather expensive chair, but it's super nice, and she loves it. And I was thinking of getting a version of that because the other one I got, just the design and the comfort was great, but it just like was falling apart after a year. And the company ghosted me in terms of like warranty stuff or repairs or whatever. So I was looking at chairs and I was like, right now I don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a new chair. So I spent $110 on this chair. And I was like, that should be good enough to like at least last a while. And I've actually been very happy with it. It leans, but it doesn't recline. So, like the chair part just leans like this, whereas my old chair, like the back could recline. So I kind of miss that, but the leaning is good. The rocking is good. It doesn't have a footrest. I liked having a footrest, but that's okay. And the arms are fabric, which is actually not the most comfortable thing when your skin touches it. If you're wearing long sleeves or like a sweater or whatever, then it doesn't matter. That's not the most comfortable, but they've held up really well. And it's super comfortable. It's also really lightweight. And because I am in this super tiny space here, actually, I'm going to shut the door so I stop disturbing Heather, who's out there. Because I am in this relatively small, crowded spot, I'm often moving the chairs around, so I need to wheel them around, sometimes lift them over things, all that kind of stuff. And kind of having, like, Heather's chair is great, but it's heavy. So I was thinking of getting that one. I could still imagine myself, like, if this one falls apart, I'm just going to get that one, the Corsair. But the lightweight, it's easy for me. We talked about camera angles, hiding size. I'm not a giant person. I'm barely 5'10" and about 148 pounds. So I'm relatively small. If you're 200 pounds, if you're 6'4", this is probably not going to be a good chair for you. But for me, it works great. It's actually like really comfortable. And I don't know, I've been like surprisingly satisfied with my cheap little R-Shark chair. And it's so funny because I was looking at all the, the $100 chairs and being like, I don't know which one to get. Half of them will probably fall apart. I don't know. And this one, I was just like, R-Shark. I like the San Jose Sharks. I'll get that one. So terrible, terrible way to decide to make purchases. But I've been like surprisingly happy with it. And I actually really like that the armrests lift up. Because sometimes I sit there like this, like a little T-Rex. But other times for like pushing it up against a desk and things, it's actually very nice. It's very functional. And so far, I mean, I haven't had it that long, maybe a month. It's held up very well in the past month. No BS, isn't the Rode Wireless Pros, especially when coupled with the Lav 2s you get, isn't it the best? I think the Rode Wireless Pros have the best audio quality of the wireless, the like 2.4 gigahertz wireless systems. And in the tests and comparisons I've done, I feel like that's pretty obvious. I've said that in other videos. So if you're looking from an audio quality only perspective, yeah, Rode is the way to go. That's the road to go down. But there are other things. The problem is other companies have gotten really slick. And when you look at like the way the charging cases and accessories and all the little peripherals are implemented, there are other things that even if they don't sound as good, they make the workflow easier. And so that's why like sometimes I find myself willing to sacrifice the audio quality. Like that's why I use the DJI Mic Mini, because it's easy. Super small, direct hot shoe connection to my Sony camera, done. It's not the best sounding mic that I have, but it's the easiest one that gets out of the way and lets me do what I need to do. So there we go. Nice to see you live streaming. Are you using PC on this live? This is my PC through OBS. And I'm using a 1080 camera, but streaming in 4K because, yeah. Do you see the MacBook Neo? I did. We talked about it a bit. It's awesome. I actually didn't know the pricing. Do they have pricing on it? Let's see. Because I was saying for a while, like I've wanted colored MacBooks for a while, for ages actually. And they put out colored MacBooks finally. There you go. But wow, $599. That's kind of awesome. can we look at pricing? I mean, these aren't like, okay, these are colors for people who are like a little bit scared of color, but it's better than nothing. Like, just give me bright ass blue, you know? Come on. Do what Rode is doing. Like, don't be scared of color. Go back. You remember the iPhone 5C? Let's do that. Let's do that again. But yeah, at least it's something. But let's see. So 512 is as high as you can get. Is that the only option? You don't get to choose. At least that's sort of it. Okay, so $700 for the upgraded version. What does it have? Like, what is the power? That's a good price. Okay. We have 2 USBs. Is this a charging thing? What is this? Oh, is that Touch ID? No, that'd be silly. What is this? It's not a memory card slot, is it? I don't know. Boop. Okay. I just want to see, like, processing. The fact that that's nowhere to be found on the page. Honestly, though, like, it's probably, considering it's got to be, like, I don't know what processor it's. Oh, it's using an AT. Oh, yeah, it uses like a mobile chip. It's not an M series computer. I was going to say, if it's using any sort of newer M chip, it would probably be as, if not more powerful than my M1 Max super expensive MacBook Pro from 2021. But it's using an A18. It's using a mobile chip. So, yeah, I don't know. Although I think I still have like older iPads that are using something like that, and they're still really capable. So for consumption, browser-based stuff, it's probably pretty awesome. For multi-track 4K video editing, probably not ideal. Violet worked at Apple Retail and did video editing training. Oh, that's cool. I had some friends who did that, and I sat in on some of their workshops and stuff, and it always seemed really fun. I also heard hilarious horror stories about the Apple Store. Two line slot cars picked up YOLObox Extreme. I remember talking about that. And used with the Rodecaster Pro 2 when monitoring the audio on headphones from the YOLObox, and the delay is killing me on my live stream being a guest. Are we talking about delay on the stream that they notice, or latency that you and the guest are hearing but isn't on the stream? Like monitoring latency or stream latency? Because if it's stream latency, the YOLObox lets you adjust delays independently on every source, which is super cool. Like nothing else lets you do that. But if you're talking about monitoring latency, then I don't know as much. I'm surprised, Tom. I have like less than no desire to get a Herman Miller chair. I know that it's the one. The exception being, I see the posts where everybody finds them at like thrift stores for like $10. I would do that. I would 100%, like, if I found a good condition used one. And I know there's some places, like we have a friend who lives out in Texas, and they have like a used office supply store near them where you can get like used chairs that are in good shape for really good prices. That's when I would get one. The new price, yeah, because I just got done watching the 3D printed mic arm video. Was wondering if you printed all that ABS indoors. If you have any issues with VOCs. I did print it indoors, but the room that the printer's in, nobody is in when it's printing ABS. There's active carbon, active airflow, fans, and open windows. So it's I don't do ABS a lot, and I actually just ordered a bunch of PETG to kind of like maybe use in place of ABS just for that exact issue to not deal with. But yeah, ABS, VOCs, volatile organic compounds, very important things to be aware of there. Do the OBSBot cameras have the same color science? Yes, their cameras mixed together do. Their cameras mixed with Sony and Canon, I've had like such a hard time. They lean very magenta is what I found. But if you're using a bunch of OBSBot togethers, not a problem. I mean, and the software lets you mix it around, but it's like, I've had a really hard time dialing them in to match really well. Yeah. Let's see. Mr. Robbie got a new chair last year. Thought it was comfortable at first. Yeah, see, that's there's a difference between going to the office supply store and sitting in a chair for 30 seconds and being like, yeah, this is comfortable, and sitting in the chair for hours at your desk. And this one does have really nice lumbar support, honestly. And to JFK's point about the Herman Miller's chairs, like, you know, they are expensive, but it is, I can see the argument of it being like a mattress. Like, you know, if you're spending a lot of time in this thing, it's good for your body to have the support and the ergonomics and everything. But it's also like everybody's body is different. So it's, you know, it's, we're actually we were talking about this, before one of my hockey games the other night. Everyone was getting ready and everyone was talking about like skates. And so, getting skates that fit good. Sometimes you have to put in insoles, or you have to like heat bake the skates so they mesh to your feet, all these things. And it's different for everybody. So just because like I have a pair of skates that I think are like the most comfortable things in the world, you could try them on and be in hideous pain. And a good example is like, you know, a lot of people have really flat feet. I have like the most arched feet. My feet, like if I hold my foot in the air and then I put it flat on the ground, it like changes almost like, I can't even tell you like the way the size of the foot changes from that, because it's like so arched, to the point where a while ago there was like a bug on the ground and I was walking barefoot and Heather was like, watch out, you're going to step on a bug. And I stepped on it and then I moved and it was like Jurassic Park. Like the bug was fine because the bottom of my foot like never touches the ground. The other day I vacuumed like our living room rug, and you know, sometimes you vacuum rugs and there's like, you can see like marks of like, if you touch it or whatever, it'll put a mark in there. We were sitting there and Heather was like, what is that shape in the rug? And I was like, what shape? What do you mean? Is there like a stain? And she's like, it looks like a banana shape. Like, why does it look like there was a banana on the rug? And I was like, oh, that's my footprint. That's just because that's the only part of my foot that touches the ground. The reason I bring up that weird foot story is just to reiterate that like everybody's different. And so even if I have something that's like awesome and I feel great and it doesn't hurt, you could sit in and be like, oh my God, I'm in hideous pain instantly. So, you know, it's so hard to figure out chairs and that kind of stuff. See, Violet's trying to decide between a used Herman Miller or an Anda seat. I haven't heard of the Anda seats. I mean, the thing about Herman Miller, as much as I was like, I wouldn't buy one and they're expensive, everyone I know who has gotten one loves it. I don't know of anybody, I think, that doesn't like theirs. If you have a Herman Miller and you don't like it, let me know. Can you please buy a P2S combo for me? I bought a P2S combo for me, and I did that for you, for your entertainment. Does the OBSBot Tiny 2 remote work with the Tiny 3? No, sorry, I'm brain farting. If we're talking about this remote, I believe this came out with the Tail Air and it works on the Tail 2. As far as can you pair this with the webcams? I don't know. I've never tried pairing it with the regular webcams, like the tiny cams. Not sure. Touch ID is on the screen. Really? Not on the keyboard? Maybe on the side? I don't know. No, I'm confused. Tom's P screen is not the Apple display. Like if you got the budget, go for it. But no, my screen is, I guess I could show you because I have my little OBSBot camera here. This is old news to a lot of people, but this is a curved display. This is an LG 34-inch curved display. I did get this back when I was teaching online during the pandemic, so it's not a 4K display, but I like it. I like ultra wide displays, and the curved works. And then this monitor next to it is a 27-inch HP Omen, and this is actually Heather's old monitor. The weird thing about this monitor, which I've talked about before, it's quite expensive, and it's a good monitor. It's like a gaming monitor, but it only has one HDMI input, which it didn't matter when we bought it for her office, but then she needed to hook up more things. There was one HDMI, which is so weird, and it has a DisplayPort input, but unfortunately the DisplayPort input on this one was broken from the get-go, and we didn't know that because we didn't try to use it until we'd already had it for a long time. So it was like way out of warranty, way beyond return. So she needed, basically we had to get new monitors in her office, that had multi-inputs and stuff for switching between computers and consoles and all this stuff. And then this one, I was like, well, I'll put a second monitor in here, sure, because I'm only using it with the PC, so I only need the single HDMI, and it's good. MacBook Neo's using a mobile chip to keep the cost down. I mean, that's cool though. Like, I would imagine it's still quite capable for, like I said, like browser-based things mostly, which is really what a lot of people mostly use their computers for. Students, that kind of thing. So probably pretty good as far as that go. And Slot Car said latency on monitoring. I don't know how to adjust latency on monitoring. You could either try reaching out to YOLO and letting them know, and depending on who gets your message, you could get someone who's very intent on fixing that problem. You could also go, it's a crazy thing to recommend, I know, on Facebook. There are some very active YOLO Box user groups, super active. And people from YOLO are in those a lot. So that could be a good way, too, to bring it up and either point out that it's an issue or get a solution or both. Kim says, the only reason we have a Herman Miller chair is because my old job gave them to us when they laid us off. That's your severance package. I wish we had the used office stores here. Dialing in them, the OBSBot with other cams. Yeah, I've noticed every time there's a firmware update, they add a little more functionality to their color adjustments in like OBSBot Center and stuff. And so I know this is something that they know, and I know it's something they're actively working on, and it seems like it's getting better and better, but yeah. I don't know if there'd be like, it almost is like you need to start, I don't know if log is the right thing, but like a very flat, like you need the option to turn on a flat profile and then use their color stuff to dial it in. Yeah. So, but it's getting better and better. Hey, you still want to say hi? Watch from the replay. Cool. Tom is a ninja, always locked in ninja walk mode. Yes. That's what it is. That's really what it is. Too many footnotes. Yes. I'm sorry. We could have totally cut that story down. Anyway, Tiny 2 has own remote from the tail cams. I didn't realize that remote works with this. I don't know how to pair it with those, but that's cool. Saying an Amazon page, it has Touch ID for the Neo. Is that a giant mouse pad under your keyboard? Yes. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I've like properly gushed about how awesome this is, but it's in a lot of videos. This is from a company called Gutsy Aiden. I found them on Instagram last year, but they're super cool. The guy, I don't know if his name is Aiden, and he's very gutsy. Super cool. Let me bring up their website. Like, very independent company. They have a great YouTube channel, do a lot of stuff about like PCs and gaming and stuff like that. Gutsy Aiden. They're not crazy expensive, but they have like really cool designs, really cool colors, crazy quality. This is like such a thick, well-made pad. We got this one here, the Miami Swirl. We got this one for Heather's office, and they come in different sizes. This is the most common size, which is 36 by 18. So it's nice and big, plenty of room for a keyboard, plenty of room for a mouse and stuff. And I also use this a lot for top-down shots. So you'll see it in thumbnails. You'll see it in videos when I have a camera up above. I usually put this on the desk. I've thought about getting a couple others to have different colors. They also make a giant 48 by 24, so a 4-foot by 2-foot version, which is really funny because on some of their product listings, they literally tell you like, you probably don't want to get this big one. You think you want this giant one, but your desk probably doesn't have room for it. So make sure it's the one you know that you need. But yeah, they are great, super high quality, awesome designs, cool independent company, and just really, I don't know, I love them very much. Enthusiast Impressions, you used a Herman Miller, and that one I didn't like. You didn't like a Herman Miller. Interesting. It is possible. Forum Uberzone. Have you heard about Meld Studio? I feel like I've heard that name. Powerful, easy to use, move from OBS. You should take a look at it. I should take a look at it. That sounds cool. And Kim likes Meld. Just waiting for them to start charging people because there's no... Really, it's... Okay, so it's that good. To be fair, to be fair. I'm not surprised OBS is free because that's in its DNA, but like everything OBS can do, especially now, it's crazy it's still free. But Mel, this is interesting. I wish Autobots would add an auto white balance lock. That's a great idea. Yeah, that'd be simple, right? So you turn on auto white balance, it sets it, and then you just lock it at what it sets. So that way, if things change, because that's the thing that will happen is if like if I have auto white balance, I don't have auto white balance, but maybe I could turn it on and we can see. Image. Here, this is auto white balance. Sorry, now I go back to my console to move it around. So I don't know if we'll be able to see. Our exposure is going to change, but like if I were to change, you could kind of see actually, like if we see more of the blue of my shirt in the shot, I'm going to zoom in on that. It'll probably change the white balance a bit versus then if we go over here, I don't know if we'll see. It's hard to tell with the exposure changing. But yeah, that is a good idea because sometimes if your lighting shifts or whatever, your white balance can shift too, and that can be annoying. So auto white balance where you have, what am I doing? There we go. You turn on auto white balance, it sets it, and then you just lock it. So now it's locked in that automatically set thing would be sweet. That's got to be such an easy thing to add, right? Finally here, live and direct. I think you caught the tail end of the stream, but I'm glad you're here. Why I never print on the A1 is the house light flickers. Oh, really? I'm very happy that on the P2S and the H2C 3D printers, the internal lights don't flicker, even at 120 FPS. I was filming a whole bunch of B-roll last night in the dark, and it looked really cool. The meld streaming function will always be free when they include their video importing and editing. That part will be behind a paywall. That sounds fair, right? You stream, do all that stuff for free, but if you want to use an editing app, that's paid. That makes sense. Sennheiser MD46 and film with the ZV-E10. Can you recommend a budget portable recorder? Depends on what you mean by budget, but we were looking at the Zoom PodTrack P4. It's probably overkill because you don't need 4. But with that in mind, what was it? It was the Zoom XLR-E, right? Yes. The H1 XLR. This is $129 and has 2 XLR inputs, and it's relatively small and compact. The reason I would look at this in your case, if you look at the P4, so okay, Zoom P4, is it the next? Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know if this is battery powered, so that could, no, the P4 is battery powered, right? They're always battery powered. Yeah, yeah. Well, the other one was, I'm going to work on the assumption this is battery powered. This gives you 4 XLR inputs for $150. This one gives you 2 XLR inputs for $130. So it's like, why not spend $20 and get 2 additional inputs? This is smaller and more compact. So for, I don't know why I was under the assumption when you said the camera thing that you have to you're portable. Maybe you're not. Maybe you are in a studio setting. It doesn't matter as much. Portability's sake, this is a good one. But this one also has 32-bit floats. So the benefit to that is you don't have to fiddle with gain or anything on this. You just connect your mic, hit record, and you're done. And you're going to have the flexibility. This, I think, will make it easier to get cleaner audio and usable levels without having to worry about dialing things in. I think everybody who has recorded audio, especially with external recorders, has done the thing. I think more common than not is to have your audio be a little bit too loud. You listen back and everything is clipped and distorted and you're just or you can have it too quiet and then you try to boost it and now it's noisy. That's less of a problem because it's easier to clean that up than the clipping. But with the 32-bit float version, you'll never have that issue. And $129 is a great price for that. People say to put voltage step downer. I live in India. Maybe this is to do with flickering. I know so little about not electronics, but electronics. Right? Yeah. Not the printer, the whole house light. Oh, yeah. On the A1, really? because I was a little bit worried. I now have my P2S and my H2C on the same circuit, but they've been fine. But that's also why they're not in here. Well, I mean, there's a couple of reasons I would like to have the printers in here full time because visually they're cool, but they take up a lot of space, but also like there's a lot happening in here. There's lights and cameras, and even with the LED lights that don't take a ton of power and all that stuff, throwing in 3D printers is like too much. So they are in a different room that doesn't have much else in there except the printers. Yeah. Battery powered and USB-C powered, just get the P4 next. It does have way more features. So if you want more manual control, get that. If you want plug and play, the what is it? The H1 XLR. I have the H1 Essential, and it's great. It's the same thing, except it just has a built-in mic and a 3.5 millimeter input, and it's awesome. There we go. So, dang, this has been fun, and OBS and PC seem to work pretty well, along with Aaron Parecki's live chat overlay. What a game changer! Oh my gosh, like I can't even tell you. That's fantastic. Oh, just to wrap up our discussion about this, what's the difference between the P4 Next and the Scarlett 4i4? Oh, if you have the 4i4, just use that. I was recommending the P4s, the Zooms. For some reason, I got it in my brain that you needed it to be portable. I don't know why, compact and portable. If you don't, then the Scarlett is fine. The biggest difference is that the Zoom recorders have internal recording, so you just record internally to those, whereas the Scarlett is a USB interface, so it needs to run into a computer or whatever, and then you record there. So if that's what you're doing and it's not hard to do that, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so it's just different workflows, I guess. But the Scarletts, the 4th gen Scarletts have great preamps, so they sound great. They run everything great. If you've already got that, I would just make that work and use that and probably work there. So with that said, I think I'm going to wrap up for a bit here. Oh, sorry. I want to get to the bottom of this. You do need it to be portable. That's where the Zooms go into play. So I would look at those ones, the H1 XLR or the P4 Next. You can't go wrong with either of them. They're just sort of different approaches. And yeah, if it were me, in your case, I would get the H1 XLR just because I like the idea of, in that workflow, the compact recorder that I just have 32-bit float and I don't need to worry about it. It reduces, speaking of computers, it like reduces the workload on the RAM in my brain and lets me focus on other things. And I like that. That peace of mind is worth it. Did you tweak the colors on the extension yet? I don't know what we're talking about. But anyway, on this, I've tweaked them a little bit, if that's what we're talking about, but not much. Glad you guys were here. Thanks for being here, whatever time it is, wherever you're at. It's midday here. It's nighttime over there. We're all over. So I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. I've been streaming more lately, but I don't know when I don't know. I never know when I'm going to stream again. Lately, Wednesdays have just been kind of working. So if I can do that, that's super fun. But if you want to make sure not to miss streams, that is where the YouTube bell comes into play. I swear I'm not just like smash bell, whatever. But since I don't have a regular streaming schedule, if you want to catch streams, that's the way to do it because you get notified. Unfortunately, there's no way to just only get notified for streams. So you get notified for all the things. But there we go. Anyway, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I have a little bit of an outro to play so we can all say goodbye in the chat. And then I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Have a great day. See you later.